I call Alfred Niue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise to take a call on this bill. Mr. Chair, I first of all just want to be really clear. I absolutely support this bill as it stands, as recommended by the Select Committee to return to the House. Secondly, I do not support, and the government doesn't support, the SOP that the Right Honourable Winston Peters has. Now, he's talked a lot about the Swordfish Club or Sword Fighters Club. I'm not sure which one it is. I haven't been to that club. Sorry, I have been, but I haven't frequented it as much. I think actually where the Right Honourable Winston Peters has been is actually Trader Jack's. And he knows Trader Jack's very well. And there are very many great conversations with expats who live over there, and I imagine they've talked about this. And I think this is a great opportunity because I know the Right Honourable Winston Peters probably has more stamps on his passport, even as the Foreign Affairs Minister, to the Cook Islands, to Rarotonga, and even to Aitutaki, because such is the relationship that he has, irrespective of the wine box and all the other things that have gone on previously before. He has a special relationship with the Cook Islands, so this is a great opportunity to be able to ensure that he can reinforce that relationship. Mr. Speaker, let's get to the crux of the bill. Now, the bill in the first part, Mr. Speaker, there's a couple of points that have been made. And let's talk about this 5 years, because that's been the contention. There were 13 submissions, 12 of which talked about the issue of the 5 years, looking for an exemption of those 5 years. Now, here's the reasons why, and some may not have read the regulatory impact report inside there, or the disclosure statement, but it's very clear. First of all, there are social security agreements with other countries such as Canada and UK, and in this, there's a reciprocal arrangement. And in that reciprocal arrangement, what that means, so therefore, if there's a New Zealander that decides he wants to retire back to one of these countries, they still have to do their 5 years, okay, in order to receive that pension. And the reciprocal arrangement is that this country will pay for their pension, their superannuation back in the Cook Islands. So the question is this: who pays for the superannuation for Cook Islanders or Kiwis from here if they decide to return back to New Zealand, to the Cook Islands, Tokelau and Niue? It is, who was it? It's New Zealand that pays for it. If the return was this, that those in the Cook Islands decided that they want to return back to here and live in here, could the Cook Islands, Niue and Tokelau government pay their superannuation? Answer is no, they couldn't. That's what you call a reciprocal arrangement, a social security agreement. It could not be meant. It's very simple, it's very clear. The second thing is, there was a point that was made around by Portal Williams in regards to citizenship. Let's also remember this, that the Cook Islands, Niue and Tokelau, 3 nations of the realm, in our national anthem, as we talk about the triple star, okay, that we talk about is this, is that they are self-governing, okay, and free association. So yes, they have the rights of citizenship, but they're self-governing. In other words, there is a difference. You can't say they are one and the same. And if you don't know that, then you may need to research a little bit about self-governance, okay? So you may need to research a little bit about self-governance so you get the point. So that's why it becomes very important. So there's no discrimination. There's no outrageous fortune by Mr. Derek Ball there about this bill. This is a good bill. The last point I want to make is this. When Minister McCulley talked about the fact is that he was making a commitment to those 3 nations that he would put this through, and let's remember, no other nations, there's no Samoa, there's no Tokelau, Tuvalu, there's no Kiribati, there's no Tonga. There are only 3 nations that have this special dispensation. These 3 nations. So when you say there's a discrimination, there is no discrimination. In 2011, when the earthquake of Christchurch happened, Minister McCulley said this. His commitment is that this would go through. However, because of the cause of the issue of Christchurch, we had to meet our obligations there first and foremost. However, the question you ask is this, and those who are listening, has he kept his promise? Answer is, yes, he has. Because here we have a bill, and I'd like to challenge the member over there, because when it comes to voting for this bill, you may not get your SOP, but I'll ask you this question. Will you vote for the bill? You've put your minority reports in, you've made your assertions, you've talked about discrimination. The question is, when it comes to vote for the bill, will you vote for it? Because that's really where the answer will lie. Because this bill is a good bill. This bill is a bill that no other Pacific nation has the opportunity for. You don't have to be president and resident in this country. At the age of 55, you can return back to your nations, you can serve your country for another 10 years, and you can make it, Mr. Chair,
Alfred Naru.
you can return back to your Pacific nation. You can, for 10 years, you can serve them, and from there, you can apply. So I've got to tell you this. The report that was committed in 2011 by the Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Committee, and Mr. Winston Peters will know this, when I'll call him the Honourable John Hayes. The Honourable John Hayes, he had this report, okay, and the report said this: our commitment and our responsibility back to those Pacific nations is the issue of depopulation. In some cases, in the Cook Islands, for instance, up to 500 per annum will leave the Cook Islands. So this was a way of keeping up that commitment. So in honour of that report and the research that was done, this was the commitment. Mr. Chair, I commit this bill. I'm happy to go with the Right Honourable Winston Peters to the sword fighters bar, whatever you want to call it, to Traders Jack, to sit down with the expats, give them the facts, not the semi-facts, not the sort of shady facts in a box called a wine box. No. We will put it straight to them, happy to stand there and be able to present them with the facts and the reasons why. And I think once they do hear that, Mr. Chair, they'll see that this was common sense. I commend this bill to the House.